Long ago, in the time when animals still held counsel with men, and the moon listened to prayers, the kingdom of Ogundele flourished under the rule of King Adetayo the Wise. He was a just king, loved for his fairness and feared for the secret fire behind his calm eyes. His queen, Olufunmilayo, was the pride of the kingdom, a woman whose laughter made the earth fertile, and whose sorrow could wither yam in the soil. On the night of the fire moon, a rare celestial event when the moon glows red as burning coal, the queen bore a child after many barren seasons. The palace was elated with joy. Drummers beat the skin of their drums until their palms bled. Griots recited poems long buried in memory, and palm wine flowed like a river from the gods. But celebration turned quickly into foreboding. As tradition demanded, the royal seer, Baba Ayelabi, was summoned. He was old as the first termite hill, and his eyes were clouded like the morning fog over the river Oshi. He chewed bitter kola, spat thrice, and cast his cowrie shells upon the leopard skin mats. Then silence fell over the palace like a funeral shrub. The child is a child of fire and shadow, Baba Ayelabi declared, his voice like rustling dry leaves. He shall one day spill royal blood, his father's blood, and bring ruin to Ogundele. His path is marked by fate, carved by the gods themselves. A sharp cry sliced the silence. It was not the newborn, but Queen Olufunmilayo. Her heart fractured in disbelief. The king's brow darkened. And what do the gods command? He asked with a whisper heavy as iron. The child must not live within these walls. The seer replied, lest the blood prophecy find its roots in the soil. That night, beneath the weeping skies, a servant woman named Mami Tutu was given the swaddled child. She was to take him far beyond the 3 hills and the river that speaks, to a village where the king's eyes could not follow. The boy's name was to be stricken from the palace scrolls. No drum would beat his name, no griot would speak it. But fate, like a stubborn goat, does not heed man's rope. As Mami Tutu disappeared into the forest with the child strapped to her back, the fire moon lingered overhead, watching, waiting. And in the shadows beneath the sacred baobab, something stirred. A whisper, a rustle, the breath of old gods who had seen this tale before. Many seasons passed since the child of prophecy vanished into the wilderness, and the quiet village of Ajani, nestled between the whispering hills and the river Oronfe, a boy grew under the care of Mami Tutu, a woman known for her knowledge of herbs and the way she could coax life from dying roots. The villagers called the boy Fàgì, meaning destiny has blessed me. He was a quiet child, watchful, with eyes too sharp for his age, and a silence that made elders uneasy. Birds perched close when he walked by, and sometimes the wind shifted direction when he raised his head. One morning, while gathering herbs in the forests, Fàgì stumbled upon an injured gazelle caught in a hunter's trap. He knelt beside it, touched its trembling flank, and whispered words not taught to him by Mami Tutu, but words that came from deep within, like memory awakened. The trap opened, the gazelle bolted, and the trees rustled, not in wind, but in applause. Mami Tutu saw it all. That night, she sat before her fire, hands trembling over her cowrie pouch. She had kept his truth hidden for years, shielding him from both men and gods. But now, the signs were sprouting like mushrooms after rain. You were not meant for this quiet life, she told him softly. Your feet will one day shake palaces. Fàgì looked into the fire, Why do I feel like my dreams are borrowed from someone else's sorrow? Before she could answer, the drum beat began. Far off at first, distant, then louder, nearer, furious. A royal emissary from Ogundele had arrived in the night, wearing black cloth around his waist, the symbol of mourning. King Adetayo was dead, slain by treachery, they claimed. A prince, lost and unknown, was being sought to sit upon the throne, a boy born on the night of the fire moon. The prophecy had unfolded, but not as foretold, or so it seemed. Mami Tutu's eyes clouded with dread. The gods are waking, Ifagbemi, and they will not be mocked. At the edge of the village, near the baobab tree, stood like a sentinel, its back cracked open. A single drop of red sap bled from its side. And the old spirits whispered, "The boy has returned." The kingdom of Ogundele was heavy with mourning. Women shaved their heads and wept into the earth. Drummers beat the slow rhythm of sorrow. Elders poured libations at the palace gates. But beneath the veil of grief, whispers slittered like snakes in tall grass. The king was murdered. The gods are punishing us. The child of prophecy still lives. In the village of Ajani, the night after the emissary's arrival, Mami Tutu gathered her things. She crushed sacred leaves and painted the Ifagbemi body with ash, charcoal and red earth. "You must leave," she said, wrapping beads around his wrists. "Go to the shrine of Orunmila in the hills of Uyoku. The gods must see you before men crown you." "But I don't want the crown," Ifagbemi whispered. "You were born with one in your blood," she replied. "You don't have to want it. You only have to survive it." With a satchel of bitter kola, a small gourd of water, and the staff of his mother, the only remnant of his breath, Ifagbemi departed under the gaze of a sky swollen with stars. The path ahead was long, and not all travelers walked with feet. Some walked with shadow. By the second day, he reached the forest of Ajagunla, a place where warriors had once vanished, and the spirits of ancient hunters gathered their secrets. There, he encountered an old man with skin like bark and a voice like dry thunder. He sat beneath a fig tree tossing cowries. "You walk the path of thunder, child," the old man said without looking up. "How do you know who I am?" Ifagbemi asked, courteous. "I have seen you in the smoke of palm kernels and the dreams of restless spirits. You are the storm wrapped in skin." The old man reached into his pouch and drew out a bronze medallion carved with the eye of Shango, the god of lightning and justice. "Take this," he said, "for justice will chase you, and lightning does not ask permission before it strikes." Ifagbemi took the medallion, feeling its heat pulse against his palm. That night, as he slept beneath the fig tree, the forest awoke. A jackal with two tails crept from the underbush, its eyes glowing red. A woman with no feet hovered above the earth, her hair a nest of whispering snakes, and above them all, in the trees, owls called his name in tones no human mouth could form. "Ifagbemi, Ifagbemi, son of the storm." The spirits had seen him, and so had the enemies of Ogundele. Far away in the palace, a new prince had claimed the throne, a cousin to the fallen king, ambitious and cunning. He'd heard the rumors of a boy born beneath the fire moon, and he would not allow fate to unseat him, even if it meant spilling more royal blood. At dawn, mist clung to the trees like old secrets. Ifagbemi woke with the medallion of Songo burning hot against his chest. The forest was no longer silenced. It paused, breathed, and murmured like something alive. The old man beneath the fig tree was gone, but carved into the earth, where he once sat, were three words, ancient and shrouded in mystery: Orun kò sùn. The spirit world does not sleep. Ifágbémi pressed on toward the hill of Uyoko, guided by whispers only he could hear. Sometimes, the rustle of leaves, other times the low hum of ancestral drums, beating from within the rocks. By the third day, he reached the shrine of Orunmila, nestled between two cliffs, carved with the faces of forgotten gods. Vultures cycled overhead, and a woman with silver beads in her hair stood, waiting at the shrine gates. Her name was Yaoru, keeper of secrets, priestess of time. I have waited 17 years for you, she said without waiting. Even the river spirits held their breath. She led him inside, where the vining mirrors lined the walls, and the drum made of thunderwood sat untouched at the center. You were born with the tongue of lightning, the foot of iron, and the heart of a broken empire. Iyaoru said, your path is not one of comfort, it is one of remembrance. She placed her hand on his head. At once, Ifágbémi saw flashes, visions, lightning bolts behind his eyes. A man in royal robes tied by a hidden hand, a crying queen clutching a blood, a serpent winding around the cradle, a baobab tree bleeding from its back. He gasped, staggered back. What's this? Who am I? Iyaoru struck the thunderwood drum once. Boom! The sound rippled through his bones like ancestral memory. His eyes glowed briefly. Faint sparks danced on his fingers. The wind outside howled, mimicking the ancient cry of Shango himself. You are the storm the gods feared, and the one they hoped would return. Ifágbémi descended from the hills of Uyoko with the staff of fire and the medallion of thunder burning against his chest. He was not alone. Spirits walked beside him. Warriors of old, their faces hidden behind masks, carved from the bones of truth. The usurper, Prince Ajagbile, sat on the throne like a spider in a borrowed web. He had heard of Ifágbémi's return. The gods were never to blame, Ifágbémi declared. It was men who feared prophecy more than they feared injustice. You stained your hands with my father's blood to escape fate. But fate walks with long legs. Ajagbile drew his sword in one last act of pride, but the lightning struck again, this time from a clear sky, and the sword shattered in his hand. He screamed, fell, and the wind carried his name into the dust.